She was only 8 years old. She was holding a doll in her arms when it all happened. Immigration agents approached. Her mother screamed. Her brother tried to hold her hand, but it was too late. At that moment, no one could have imagined what her brother would do next. But what he did shocked everyone and moved the entire world. Miguel was only 12 years old, but he already carried the responsibility of protecting his family on his shoulders. He, his 8-year-old sister Sofia, and their mother lived in a small village in Central America, marked by violence, extreme poverty, and a lack of opportunities. When the situation became unbearable, their mother made a painful decision to leave, to cross countries in search of a better life, even knowing the risks. Those were tough weeks. They slept in makeshift tents, facing the scorching heat during the day and the bitter cold at night. Often there was nothing to eat, but despite everything, there was something that kept them going. Hope. Hope for a safe life. Hope of studying, working, dreaming. Hope of simply living. When they finally reached the border, exhausted and with tears in their eyes, they thought they had overcome the worst. But that was when a new nightmare began. Amid the confusion, immigration agents appeared. Orders were shouted in a language Miguel barely understood. A crowd of families was being separated. And then the unthinkable happened. Without explanation, the agents took Sofia in their arms and carried her away. Her mother screamed, tried to stop them, but was restrained. Miguel ran after them, holding his sister's hand tightly. But the separation was already complete. He saw her crying, calling for him as she was taken away. At that moment, a part of him broke. In the days that followed, Miguel and his mother were taken to another detention center, also temporary. They suffered from uncertainty, the silence of the authorities, and their powerlessness in the face of cold bureaucracy. But Miguel, even though he was suffering, did not give up. He decided to take action. With the help of a Spanish-speaking volunteer, he began to write. He wrote letters in his shaky handwriting, explaining what had happened. "My name is Miguel. My sister's name is Sofia. She is only 8 years old. She is afraid of the dark and likes to play with her doll in a blue dress." His words did not ask for pity. They asked for justice. They asked for humanity. The letters were sent to journalists, NGOs, even senators and influential politicians. Before long, responses began to arrive. A reporter published his story. A video recorded by a volunteer in which Miguel spoke looking directly at the camera, his eyes teary and his voice steady, went viral. "I just want to hug my sister. I want to know if she's okay. She doesn't understand what's happening. Please, help." Within days, thousands of people shared the video. Human rights organizations put pressure on the authorities. Protests were organized in front of detention centers. Ordinary people wrote letters of support. Miguel, the boy no one knew, became a symbol of resistance, brotherly love, and childlike courage. And then, after 47 long days, a miracle happened. The authorities, pressured by public opinion and moved by the repercussions, finally took action. Sofia's location was confirmed. She was safe, but far away. A reunion was authorized. When Miguel received the news, he couldn't believe it. He was silent for a few seconds, and then he cried. But this time it was tears of relief, of happiness. On the day of the reunion, he put on the only clean shirt he had, combed his hair with his hands, and waited. When he saw Sofia entering the room, running towards him, he opened his arms and hugged her with all the strength of a brother who never gave up. And there, at that moment, the world stopped. In the waiting room, Miguel was silent. His hands were sweating. His heart seemed to be beating too fast. He had faced weeks of uncertainty, sleeping on thin mattresses, dealing with unanswered questions, staring at the door every day and waiting for her. And now, finally, someone said, She's coming." It was as if time had stopped. The white door slowly opened. An almost sacred silence filled the room. And then she appeared. Sophia, thinner, her eyes tired, her hands clutching a dirty teddy bear. For a second, they looked at each other, as if recognizing each other again. And then, without thinking, she ran. She ran as if her life depended on it. Miguel, too. With tears in his eyes, he caught her halfway, and they hugged each other tightly. It was a desperate hug, full of longing, pain, but also relief. A hug between survivors. She cried. She said repeatedly, "Brother, brother," as if to make sure it was real. Miguel said nothing. He just held her, running his hand through her hair. He took a deep breath. He was afraid it was all a dream, but it was real. For the first time in 47 days, his sister was there, in his arms. There, Mother, who was waiting nearby, fell to her knees. Tears streamed down her face. Center employees, accustomed to hard days and bureaucratic decisions, discreetly turned their faces away, trying to hide their teary eyes. An immigration agent, the same one who had brought Sophia there, bowed his head, perhaps for the first time touched by something beyond protocol. The scene was so powerful that a journalist who was present couldn't resist. She filmed it. No filters, no narration, just the raw reunion of two children separated by pain and united by hope. Within hours, that video would be circulating around the world. But at that moment, none of that mattered. The world had stopped for Miguel and Sophia. They were together again, and that was all that really mattered. The days that followed the reunion were marked by silence, healing, and a new beginning. Sophia, even though she was so young, carried scars that were not visible on her body, but Miguel was there, like a rock. The brother she had always known, but who was now even more. He was her safe haven, her shield against fear, her living reminder that love can cross any border. They moved back in with their mother in a temporary shelter until the process was complete. Nothing was easy. There were no guarantees, but there was hope, and that was enough. Every morning began with the two of them having breakfast side by side. Miguel was always watching for any sign of sadness in her. Sophia slowly began to smile again. She started drawing again. She was becoming a child again. The story of the two siblings touched the world. The video of their reunion went viral in a matter of hours, generating commotion, donations, and support from various human rights NGOs. Newspapers, television programs, and social media shared that image. A hug between two siblings who resisted the system, the pain, the separation, and won. Miguel was invited to give interviews, but he never wanted fame. Whenever he was asked how he felt when he saw his sister again, he would simply say, "It was like breathing again, like coming back to life." Their mother, who had cried so many times in silence, finally smiled lightly. She said that her greatest gift was seeing her children together, sleeping in the same room, playing in the yard, simple things that for her were worth more than any wealth. And even in the face of uncertainty about the future, she knew that, as long as they were together, nothing could separate them again. Years passed. Miguel grew up. He studied. He worked hard. And when asked about his dreams, he always answered the same thing. "I want to help other children never go through what we went through." He became a volunteer at immigrant support organizations, helping families understand their rights and fighting for reunions that once seemed impossible. Sophia, meanwhile, blossomed. She went back to school, overcame her trauma with psychological support, and became a strong, sweet, and determined girl. But one thing never changed. Every night before going to sleep, she left the same note stuck to the mirror, with a phrase Miguel wrote for her at the shelter when they were still separated: "No matter where you are, I will find you." Because in the end, this is not just a story about immigration, nor is it just about separation. It's A story about love, about the courage of a brother, about the faith of a child who believed that the impossible could happen, and about the certainty that no matter how dark the road may be, there is always a way back home, as long as someone, somewhere, never gives up looking.